welcome to Biggest Geekus. We are your hosts. I am Joe.
I'm Randy.
This is episode 15 of our podcast, and the date is Wednesday, December 16th, 2020. Let's see. What have you been up to? I don't think much.
No, I've been getting ready for final exams and grading them today, in fact. Lots of fun.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I imagine. School. Are you doing that really, really long test thing that you were talking about?
No, I haven't decided on that yet. In fact, I think I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to cut down the amount of time they get. I've been given too much time. I'm teaching online. I've been giving paper pencil tests, and, it's a lot of, I don't know. I haven't decided yet, but probably not, because that's too much changing in my syllabus, and I'm not going to do it right now. I might do it for the next fall.
Ah, gotcha.
Yep.
Well, I haven't gamed since last time, but we're hoping for this weekend, so I'm doing some skirmishes in Hackmaster just to test out the combat system.
Oh, okay.
Luckily, I'm not going to have to make any of the characters.
Yeah, you were saying before you got on air. How long did it take you and you didn't even get done?
Yeah, I've got an hour and 15 minutes in. I've got most of it. I just got to record a few things and buy equipment. So, yeah.
Well, oh my God, an hour and a half. It sounds like Pathfinder trying to build a 6th level character.
Right, and this is a 1st level character.
Well, what's the holdup, Bub?
One of the holdups is some of the things you roll is for your background. You find out about your parents, if they're alive, if they liked you.
Right.
Find out how many brothers and sisters you have, if they like you, and if they're still alive. And
wow.
And what position in the sibling lineup you are in.
Okay.
So
yeah, that was kind of a thing in KODT about being 3rd in line and 16th in line or whatever.
Right.
That's funny. Huh.
So.
And then the very last roll you make is whether you're alive or dead when you start.
No, that's Traveler.
Mm-hmm. Right on.
So, yeah.
Cool. Gonna do some skirmishing and checking the initiatives out and stuff.
I'll tell you, yeah, the stats I rolled up on this dude, I ended up having, they use build points to get talents and skills and whatnot, and to rescue you from horrible stat rolls, apparently, because, yeah, I didn't roll anything over a 13, and only had one of those. And
oh, my.
3 stats under 9.
Is there such thing as a unplayable character?
Yeah, but it's no stat over 13 and a number of stats under 5 or something like that. So you have really abysmal scores to qualify for that. So
they expect you to suck it up.
They expect you to suck it up for 1 session. So if your character is not satisfying, you can ditch it after that.
Okay.
I don't know. That's kind of a weird rule to have in the game. You'd think they would leave that up to the table.
Well, it is up to the table.
They can
say whatever the hell they want, but they're encouraging.
It's a little presumptuous, I think.
Yeah, but it's also, that's kind of funny though.
Yeah.
And you can't, because the fact that they're telling you, well, you got to play it once. I don't have to do nothing.
Right.
I can do a Pathfinder point buy, suck it.
Sure. You probably still don't really want to do that in this game.
No, I'm sure.
Because they have a whole different way of doing what their bonuses go to. So you could, if you used a point buy from, say, Pathfinder, yeah, that would probably be a tiny bit overpowering.
Just slightly.
Slightly. You get your attack bonus from your class in your intelligence and your dex. You get to add 2 stats. So
wow,
you could
okay.
trick that out pretty hard, I think, if you.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
So did you make you found pre-gens, you said, so do you have fighter, mage, cleric, rogue?
Yeah, plus they have combo classes. Fighter, wizard, or mage. It's called a mage. Fighter mage, fighter rogue, or thief, and thief mage. So they have the combo classes already made up for you.
Cool.
Yeah. So have some gaming news.
Oh yeah, a little bit.
I went on a couple of game news sites, and really, when I look around at everything, it's just who's got the latest product out. And like I've said before, to me that's not really all that exciting. Probably because I'm not really into any of the games. So.
Well, yeah, yeah. Did you see? Probably saw on either Morris's. What is it, Morris? Well, what did it used to be called?
It used to be called EN World.
EN World. So now it's Morris's EN. Is it Morris's EN World? Or just
I think it's still called EN World. It used to be called something else before EN World, but I can't remember what it was.
But there was a list of the 10 most anticipated games for 2021, and I was just like, I'm not really excited about any of them.
I do remember seeing that, but no, not really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, we're kind of curmudgeon-y these days.
We are. Here's the news that we give two craps about.
So the first one is Chris Pine, Chris Pine.
Mm-hmm.
Is to star, at least so far, in the new Dungeons and Dragons movie.
I think he officially signed.
Yeah. Well, anything can happen between now. It hasn't started production, so.
Sure. And he did the new reboot. He was Captain Kirk for Star Trek.
Yeah.
He's been I've liked Pine in most of the things I've seen him in.
I've only seen him in Star Trek. And he's all right. He's not bad at all. He did a good job with Kirk. That wasn't difficult, though.
Yeah,
Kirk's not very deep.
No, but I thought it was pretty impressive how pretty much all the actors managed to capture the spirit of the previous Star Trek guys. I thought it was, and even, I don't know, they even captured their mannerisms and stuff, and I actually liked it.
Yeah, I liked it. But I'm not too... I mean, if they're doing a live action version of the cartoon, I'm really not going to be too. I can't get excited about that.
unless they manage to pull off Guardians of the Galaxy with it.
Yeah, if they could do something like that, some kind of formula like that, that'd be fine. Or X-Men.
I did some research on this. Yeah, I did. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, tone down the super magical stuff and just kind of be a little more down to earth with stuff and let cool things happen near the end, but just kind of build up some kind of, really good characterization, plot lines for other movies, build up a story element. I did some pretty good research. Well, pretty good research. I just kind of hit a few websites. Did you see where one of them said it's going to be a subversive take on D&D?
What the heck is that supposed to mean?
I don't know.
Is it some kind of woke crap?
Or is it going to be, oh, please no. It's going to subvert your expectations. I don't know. The adventurers are actually evil. or I don't know. Maybe they're all, I don't know. What's that when you're like a animal, not a furry, but anthropomorphic.
Anthropomorphic.
They're all going to be anthropomorphic. But I don't know. And so looking at a 2022 release, I did a little research on the directors. The directors are a team. They've worked together in the past. Did you see the movies they've done? Did you notice that?
I remember reading a blurb about that, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
They did Horrible Bosses 1 and 2. Nah, not that great. They did Spider-Man Homecoming, which was okay.
I never saw that.
And The Incredible Burt Wonderstone, which I thought was pretty good. It had Jim Carrey. He wasn't the main star. Who's that? Carell? Was it Dave? Not Carell. What's his name?
I don't remember that movie.
Yeah, The Incredible Burt. You'd probably like that, Joe. The Incredible Burt Wonderstone. You'd probably like it.
I have to look that up. Yeah. So, but I thought that unless this is a producer, I thought that the person that was involved with this was just some kind of gamer.
No, they're like real directors, dude.
Oh, okay, that's much better.
So, yeah, they might actually be. Well, I remember years ago when Hasbro/WotC took over D&D. I mean, they were talking about movies early on, like in 2000, 2001, and they were saying they're not going to do like they did before. But I didn't trust that. But this is a little more
professional.
A little more hope. We'll see how it turns out.
Yeah.
I'm not fully convinced.
No. I'll believe it when I see it. I don't like setting expectations too high. So
no.
If you just go into it believing with all of your heart that it's going to be a pile of crap and it's good, it'll be really good.
Yeah. Right. This is gonna blow. I remember when I went to go see. I think I went to go see the X-Men. I was so. I hate to say nervous, but I was like, oh man, this is gonna blow. Big budget, stupid, and I was blown away. I was impressed by the first X-Men.
I was just happy that they didn't do spandex.
Yeah, the yellow spandex. Well, did I tell you the story how it was the first year I moved to the town we live in, and my wife and my daughter was like, she was like 6 years old, and we go to the mall to watch the movie. And they give us a free comic book, right? And I have Madison, my daughter, sitting on my lap, and I'm reading it to her. And my wife looks over at me and she goes, "Is it going to be like that?" And I'm like, "Man, I hope so." And she's like, "Oh God!" And she rolled her eyes. So I'm thinking, man, she's going to hate every second of this. So the movie starts. We're watching it, and of course, me and Madison are into it. We're about halfway through it, and I lean back a little bit, and I see Debbie. And this is how I can tell when my wife's excited about a movie. She's at the edge of her seat, and she's holding on to the seat in front of her, and she's just riveted. And as soon as I saw that, I said, man, they have done something here.
Right.
Because she is my wife likes D&D, and she likes fantasy stuff and even some sci-fi. She is not a comic book person. And starting with the X-Men, she likes the X-Men franchise better than all the superhero stuff, actually.
Well, it's the least comic book of the comic book movies, probably.
Yeah, and they're about a 50-50 shot.
Yeah.
To be good, it'll suck. So they've had about half of them good, half of them suck, counting Wolverine and X-Men all together. Have you seen the New Mutants?
No.
Joe?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you've not seen the New Mutants? Yeah, I saw that on a drive-in this past summer, and it was garbage.
Oh yeah, I heard some reviews. Yeah, I haven't really. I haven't been too excited about a Hollywood movie in quite a long time. And if I could have gotten excited, it would have been over Dune. But no.
Are they remaking a Dune movie? Are they doing Dune again?
Yeah, they're doing Dune again, and it's woke, so I'm not going to watch it.
Oh man,
woke Dune. Can you imagine that?
No, just seems beyond stupid. But hey, whatever comes out of Hollywood, that's what it's going to be.
We got to put women in there. Women have to be prominent. Boo. Who cares?
Yeah. Right.
I mean,
just tell the story like it is as much as you can.
Arrakis is a desert planet, so everybody who's native to it are like Arabs. So there you go. You don't need to force anything.
No. Well, they want to be inclusive, so there's going to be mountains and lakes on Arrakis. So no. Come on, dude.
No.
You're not much into biodiversity.
They were.
Did you get that?
Yeah. Don't put your day job. Actually, in a subsequent book, they terraform Arrakis, and it ends up having green life and stuff.
Doesn't it eventually go back to the way it was, though?
Oh, it reverts.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay, so D&D movie, not very hopeful, but we'll wait and see.
Wait and see. I'm going to have low expectations.
2 years away, so no worries yet.
Right. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
I guess the next one is I included this because I just thought it was hilarious that the D&D Beyond app just now has a dice roller.
What? Really?
I mean, the apparently the one online on like through a browser has always had one, but I didn't know D&D Beyond had an app.
Wow.
But
and then just now has the app been around for a while? I
thought about looking that up.
Yeah.
But it's a game app, a role playing game app. Of course, it should have a dice roller out the gate. I don't know why they would think it would be a good idea to wait on that feature. It's kind of dumb.
I agree. That just seems 12 kinds of dumb.
Yeah. We're going to help you play your games. Can we roll dice on your app? No.
No, gosh. Why do you want to roll dice? It's all about narrative and description.
Right.
Tell the DM how you kill the ogre. There's no reason to figure out if you kill the ogre. Or if you even hit him. Let's talk about it.
Right. And dice rollers are not hard to program, so I don't know. Maybe they just they must have had other priorities.
Random number generator? Come on.
Yeah. Maybe it was the graphics were difficult for them.
Yeah. It's hard to put up cool numbers on your screen. That's really good.
I'm not even sure what it looks like, so it might be some fancy graphic where it shows actual dice, animated dice or something on there.
Dude, I have apps like that. I have an app for DCC that does that. I got that years ago.
Yeah, remember Trent? He had an app you could just you could shake your phone and it would roll.
I know. Golly.
So, and that was years ago, 3 or 4 years ago.
This may not be as big of a deal, but it sounds like something about Wizards. They're way behind the curve sometimes. It must be the price of being the big kahuna, big fish in the ocean, that you just get lackadaisical and figure, well, if I drop a turd, everybody will come smell it. I mean,
right.
I don't know.
I guess. It's so weird. Which
is kind of true, isn't it? Really. I mean, D&D comes out with something new, people lose their mind. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I guess in the last bit, which is actually cool, the one, I think, cool bit in here, except for the site where it was at. Legend of the Five Rings has a book out that made the top 20 RPG book for 2020 on GeekNative. I don't really know how popular GeekNative is as a site. I haven't looked into that.
Right.
Mainly because I'm not sure that I care all that much.
Right.
But the cool thing about the book is it expands the setting of Legend of the Five Rings, so you can play things other than a clan samurai, which is cool. Yeah,
that's cool. That I will tell you the truth, though. Our resident Legend of the Five Ring master and masters Jeff and Patrick, they're not. I know Jeff is not fond of the new version of Legends of the Five Rings. He could explain it better, but
the rules or the setting. They changed the
rules. The rules. I think
they changed the rules.
Oh yeah, this is I believe, unless I'm wrong, this is same as Age of Rebellion, the Star Wars Genesis system.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that system.
Yeah, that's the one.
The D10s?
No, it's your favorite, Joe. It's got all these crazy dice without numbers on them and just stupid symbols.
Oh, like action dice kind of thing?
Oh, worse than that. It's like 4 different colors, and you throw handfuls of each, and you got so many successes and failures, and dark force and light force. And people rave about it, but it does not sound good to me. It sounds.
I heard them talking about it once. Now that you mention it, it sounds kind of silly.
Yeah, let me check and see. I do believe
because the previous rules version, game engine seemed a lot better than that.
For Legends of the Five Rings, yeah.
Yeah. Because it had D10s. that you would get.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah,
it's a dice pool. It's just a dice pool, and you get successes out of your dice pool.
Right.
Or something like that. I know you get
Right.
D10s. I don't know. Maybe it's not a successes.
Well, it's funny. So I'm looking here and I'm not seeing. Maybe I'm wrong. It's who is the company? Fantasy Flight. Fantasy Flight, Legends of the Five Rings. Yeah, so if it's Fantasy Flight, it's probably Genesis. Yeah.
Yeah, the article I don't think made it clear what version what this was for. Hold on. Because I have the article up. Legend of the Five Rings, Path of Waves is the name of the book.
It says it continues the tradition of the roll and keep system in a new way. The game uses a dice system similar to Star Wars or Genesis system with proprietary dice.
I hate proprietary dice. It's so dumb.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like it's a step worse than DCC. I mean, DCC has all the crazy dice, D7s and D4s, or D3s and D9s.
But at least they work the same way.
They're numerical.
Yeah.
And these are being symbolic for me for symbolic sake, but I'm sure someone who plays it can tell me how wonderful it is. I don't know. That kind of stuff turns me off.
Right. Yep, it does. I'm sure it's not difficult. It's just, I don't know. Sometimes those kinds, like you said, sometimes those systems are ways for them to just be a little different instead of it being a good idea in and of itself. It's just, hey, we do this. It's different.
And
we want to be different.
It might be good. We haven't played it, to be fair, but it just doesn't sound that good. I mean, even DCC's different dice kind of turned me off at first. Like, why are you using a D2? Why don't you just roll a D6? We know how to do odds and evens, but it's okay. I mean, they use it in an interesting way in DCC. I mean, instead of getting a penalty of 1, you might just get a die step drop. So you're trying to hit something with a D20, you get a penalty of 1, so you go to a D16. So, I mean, that's kind of all right. But I mean, I don't. But yeah, I mean, it's just not. It seems like it's unnecessary. But like I said, I'm sure the people that love it could tell me 10,000 reasons why it's cool.
Sure. But they would be wrong.
Well, yeah, because if we don't believe it, then if we believe something, it's absolutely true. So
right.
There you go.
Right. So yeah. This GeekNative top 20 list. Apparently, it's not their top 20. It's from DriveThruRPG. Got some stats together for their top sellers for the year. And that's why the only one on there that I thought was interesting was Legend of the Five Rings, mainly because the top one was Ancestry and Culture, an alternative to race in 5e. Because we need that for some reason.
Yeah. That's just Well, they did it with Tasha's, so I guess they got to do more. I don't know. Whatever. We beat that dead horse. I don't know.
It's just stupid.
It is. Can't have race. Got to have some other dumb thing to talk about.
Yeah, I read some other blurbs on that. Something about it's a must-have because this is what gaming is in 2020.
Okay. I guess I'm in 1990. So
yeah.
I'll tell you.
2019.
Yeah, actually 1990. I think I'm going backwards. I don't think I'm even close to the 2019 in terms of my gaming style and preference.
Think so? I've been looking at the OSR, and what I thought was going to be great, I'm starting to not like.
That'll be interesting. That'll be a fun topic. That's something we're going to do. We're going to talk about the OSR.
Yeah.
And you and I we're going to do our research and we'll discuss things. Yeah. So, yeah.
Just TLDR.
Yep.
Vancian sucks.
Come on, dude. You love that fire and forget.
No, it's stupid.
Dude, did you get to listen to Tale of the Manicore?
I did. I listened to the whole thing.
Whoa! So you liked it, I take it?
Yeah, he has some takes that I don't agree with, but I think the way he does the drama and the writing and everything is very engaging.
Yeah, and I kind of like his. Do you get what I mean by the aesthetic? Like things I never think about. Gosh, now I'm blanking. I didn't expect you to ask. Did you listen to? I haven't listened to the newest one. Did you listen to the one that dropped the other day? Okay, you're ahead of me. So, I thought, just the whole idea of so now you have this gear and oh God, I'm losing my train of thought here. Let me think. Oh, since I can't think of that, let's talk about something else. How about this?
Well,
what did you think of him rolling for ability score improvements the way he did?
I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Right. So how about we do this first, though? Tale of the Manicore is the way he describes it is a mishmash of two different things in storytelling. So yep. It's an actual play, kind of, and it's a dramatization, kind of. You smush together. So he does dramatizations. It's all him. He has some guest voice artists on there, but he does the yeoman's work on that podcast. And whenever there's mechanics to be done, like combat or random rolls or whatever, he does all that. The first episode was him. Checks. Yeah. The first episode was just him making the characters. And then it goes from there. And it's a very engaging story.
And he's building his world as he goes.
Yes.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, though, that sort of thing, that's something I wish we'd hit on, especially for Moldvay. He's using basically Moldvay D&D, not completely. I wish we'd hit on that. Then we wouldn't have been so caught up on we need a better way to roll dice, 4d6, subtract the lowest. We can do something better. Our Unearthed Arcana, 9d6, 8d6. For those that don't know, the original Unearthed Arcana had an alternate system where you would, depending on your class, you would get 9d6s and you would pick the best 3 that you rolled. And that was for your major stat. And then it would drop down to 8 or 7 or 6. But I think it would have been, and plus it's fun. When you level up, you roll a d6 for every stat, and if you get a 6, you get a boost. That was very interesting.
Right.
I really liked, too, how his wizard character, when she got her new spell, a new tattoo just appeared on her arm.
Right. That was a dramatic thing. He's not going to do that every time. The tattoo does appear, but from what I understand, he's not necessarily going to have leveling up in the middle of things all the time like that, or getting the spell to be able to cast. He did that like he did with the cleric.
Yes.
He's not. He said that was like probably a one-off. It was cool how he did it though.
Well, yeah, I just mean, but it could happen even in the game. You could gain tattoos if you're like a tattooed mage, and you could be your own spellbook. Yeah,
he still used spellbooks though.
Oh, he does. I know. I was just,
but that could be. That could be. There is a book series that my wife likes to listen to in audio, and one of the spellcasters in it, a way that they have magic in that system. One of the ways, there's bunches of them, but tattoos is one of them. And as you cast them, he was like a scroll, a living scroll. Every time he scrawled a bunch of magic on him, and then as he cast the magic, the tattoo would disappear.
Yeah, I was trying to think. I was trying to figure out. It's just whenever he was doing his description, and you know how they start out captured by the goblins.
And I wonder how many people would enjoy that.
Well, right, and it's right. That's fine. That's not what I'm talking about. But when I think about how he describes towns and even the sophistication of the town sheriff,
right? Those
are things. For some reason, I find myself thinking, "Oh, these are just podunk townsfolk. They don't know anything. They're not just even medieval cultures. They understood the idea of borrowing and interest." And the idea of the sheriff said, okay, I could see why he would want a certain cut of everything, especially when he supplied them with gear. And I just thought it was very fascinating. I can't wrap my mind around it. I would call it the aesthetic of play that I would not mind emulating, where, especially at low level, where life feels like a real thing, and everything doesn't just, okay, we go to the inn and pay for our rooms, we leave. I mean, I guess I don't want to describe every little detail all the time, but I think you miss something in a campaign style if you don't explore the actual real life part, the normal life part of your characters.
That's more and more getting abstracted away. Like the upkeep mechanic in a lot of games, it just abstracts all of that away from play. So you really just do your 4 encounters and you level up. It's kind of cheesy.
It is it's very gamey. It's super gamey, and it's like a video game. And I don't know. I don't want that at least not now. It could be ebbing and flowing.
Sure.
But I felt when I listened to that, I felt like, man, I used to do things like this.
Mm-hmm.
I used to make characters worry about stuff like this.
Right.
And everything wasn't automatic. And that fight with the rock python, I thought it was going to be one heck of a bruiser. And when he talks about it's a 5 hit dice creature, I had been listening long enough to where I was like, oh, dude, this is going to be a fight. This is going to be bad.
Someone's going to die.
Yeah. And I just thought, I don't know, I kind of missed that level of threat at low level rather than starting out the gate like 13th age characters. Or 5e character. Well, 5e not so much, but even 3rd edition, first level characters were pretty boss. 4th edition, you were super boss.
Yeah, that is the idea of starting out as a first level character and walking around with your chest puffed out. I'm tough. Yeah. You're only first level. You should be worried.
But if you look at the stats of some of those games, there's no Town's Guard are going to mess with 2nd or 3rd level characters ever, but not so true in that one.
Well, the way he described the captain of the guard is only 3rd level.
And they were, but he had a lot of hit points too.
Right, but if Whatchamahoozit had gotten to 3rd level, he would have had more hit points, but quite a few more. He only had 1 hit point less at 2nd level.
Oh, I thought he had 19 hit points.
He had 17. He had 17.
Okay.
But yeah, that's a great. I think that's a great podcast. Mm-hmm. Did you catch that he had? I went to his website. Did you know he had a fire?
No, I didn't hear.
His I don't know what his living situation was, whether he's in a house or apartment or whatever, or where he's at. I don't know if it was like the California fire. Mm-hmm. I don't even know when it happened. I was just looking through his posts. I was looking for. He had mentioned that there were details of the characters that kind of hard to find.
Right.
Because I was using my phone anyway. That's probably why.
Well, question for you: does he say on his website about his background? He used to play in a rock band, and I don't mean just a garage rock band. He said in the 80s he was kind of big.
He didn't. I didn't see that, but that makes sense. I caught. So there's some music. There's a lot of music in it, and there's actually singing and songs and stuff like that. And I don't know. I can't remember precisely where I saw this, but he mentions that the music, some of the musical elements in his podcast are available to use for free.
Oh, cool.
So, and I'm like, well, I wonder how he can do that. And he must, and then I was thinking he must have done it himself. So, yeah.
Yeah, he said if you listen to Roleplay Rescue, I've talked about that once or twice.
I've listened to an episode of that.
And he interviews the guy from Tell the Manicore. You should look that episode up. And he talks about how he was in a rock band. But yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Definitely check out Tell the Manicore. That's a good listen.
Yeah, hold on a second. I will put that under that in our show notes.
Under another brilliant idea by Randy.
Brilliant.
Dude, it's tough being this smart, but
I know it's tough.
I'll suffer for everyone. But
things we actually like.
Ooh, a new segment. Stuff we actually like.
Bodhi.
Now it's time
Tale of the Manticore. Ta-da. Right. So, main topic.
Yeah.
So, I was listening to several RPG podcasts, and the subject of the domain came up. And there's different names for it in different iterations of D&D, but essentially it's when you get your castle or your tower or your whatever it happens to be. And,
home base.
Right. And I don't know 5th edition that well, so I don't know if it's part of that officially or as an option or anything like that, but it's not really part of 3rd edition. If I don't remember it being. I mean, it might.
Feel like there was.
They had some kind of. They had like a campaign supplement where that might have been in there, and I think Pathfinder had. It wasn't a campaign supplement. It's a different word. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it's not listed in your character abilities that when you hit X level, you get a castle or a tower or something like that.
I think in Pathfinder they had the campaign book, and it talked about that, how to build a better campaign.
Right. And
I imagine some of that was talked. I imagine some of it was talked about in 3rd edition too. For me, and I did some Googling today, and they talked about the Dominion rules from Rules Cyclopedia, and a lot of folks were claiming that was the best version of these sort of rules, building a base and stuff. And sometimes I'm fond of the idea of learning those rules, and other times I'm like, can't we just kind of wing it? But then when I wing it, I'm like, well, how much will this cost? How much would that cost? I guess there's a good reason to have those rules.
Have it cost a whole lot, because that's what it would be.
Yeah, it would be outrageous. I mean, we did recall our Rippers campaign a couple years ago. You guys came it was set in Glasgow, Scotland, and you guys came to this mansion. I'm trying to remember.
It's
but you guys basically a lodge, and you guys built your lodge. They have lodge rules in Rippers, and that's very much the same thing. Yeah.
Well, so lucky for us, it was already built. Well, right?
The mansion was built, and it had been a lodge, but there had been issues with all the Rippers getting killed, and you guys kind of reinvigorated it with your successful destruction of the Coven of those witches.
Right. Yeah. It's cool. I read the domain rules in the Rules Cyclopedia as well, and calling it rules is kind of overhyping it, I think.
Guidelines?
There's not a lot there, which a lot of people are like, fine, because it's easier to work with that. But it's essentially like a fighter that reaches 9th level. They used to call that name level. They get... I can't remember if they followers. They attract followers, and they get a keep or a tower or a castle or something like that. Some versions of these rules, you get a tract of land, an area that you have to clear out.
And I understand why, but back in the day, and I guess it was the stinginess of me, you probably remember me saying, that's stupid. Why is someone just going to give you something? Why are they just going to give you a castle? That's ridiculous.
Well, It would be if I just walked up to some noble and said, "Hey, give me that castle over there, or give me that square that. Well, no, that I'm not talking about level. Nobody knows me from anybody anywhere. I'm just some schmuck, and I walk up to a noble and say, "Hey, there's that 10 square mile patch of land out there nobody's doing anything with. Why don't you give it to me?" He's going to look at me and probably stick his sword at me.
Yeah.
But if I'm a 9th level fighter, the idea is you've paid your dues and you've made a name for yourself. Now, if you abstract that away out of the picture and you're just assuming that your exploits have become well known, I can see why that would seem weird. But if you build that into the process of gaining your level, as in while you're adventuring, the DM has opportunity, takes notes, has an opportunity. You meet an NPC or 3, and you establish your name through role play. It might even be that you gain a title of nobility, and with it comes this domain that you get to manage.
Dude, yeah, and one of the coolest things I ever saw happen, I can't remember what the keep was, but it was way back in our Greyhawk days. I think you might have been in the Army by now, but Ryan and Jeremy and Jason played these 3 characters. 2 were Rangers, 1 were a fighter. Grendel was a half-ogre fighter, Ryan's character. Let's see. Jeremy played Henrik, who was a Ranger, and Jason played Laban, who was a Ranger. And they got they were pretty high level, double digits. And they met this one guy, I called him Lord Ravenlock, and they always made fun of him. They adventured with him. He was a good dude, but he was a wealthy, rich, he was a high-level fighter, too. And they had all these companions they would go adventuring with, and because only 3 players. And eventually, they got so well-known that I think they ended up getting land and getting a keep and all that stuff. And it was really interesting because at first they were kind of technically below him, this Ravenlock guy, and then they were his equals and probably superiors in combat. And it was pretty cool to see them kind of progress to quote-unquote rulers. And one of the characters, I think it was JD's, ended up going to Planescape and taking over the Doom Guard. He became their factal at like 18th level.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a bigger domain. So he moved to the Plains, right? Those that don't know, in Planescape is a city called Sigil, and there's these different factions that vie for power. And he became the leader of one of them, which is saying something. It's a, multiversal sort of power, multiversal sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Control. What's the word I'm looking for? A multiversal organization that he was the head of.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. I think I've had those in my games. I just bristle at like the way we read them, or maybe the way it read was like, you're 9th level, you get a keep. Just because you're 9th level, somebody's not handing you a keep. I mean, even if you've earned, quote unquote, gotten a name for yourself, but if you've gotten a name only by doing adventures, and imagine you're like super like, unless you're like at least somewhat level-headed and kind, I don't think you're going to get a lot of favors. Now, you might get favors from the dark side, so to speak, right?
Yeah, it depends on the situation, really.
But if you're very selfish and self-centered, and you don't give 2 craps about anybody else, and you adventure just for yourself, it's not saying you couldn't, but there's a good chance a lot of the nobles that respect honor and respect, loyalty, they're not going to see you as that.
Well, yeah, you do have to. They're going to see friends.
Yeah, they're going to see you as an attack dog.
Yeah, right. You do need to make alliances. Yeah, I get what you're saying. You make 9th level, you get this thing. It doesn't sit well.
No.
And honestly, it doesn't add to your character's prowess in battle. So if you tinker with that rule, you're not really going to upset the balance game-wise as far as the adventures go. You might not please the player very much, but if you and him talk about it, or her talk about it, I think you can figure something out.
Hold on, I didn't follow you completely. I don't know if I blanked or what. You were clear. I can understand you. So you're saying that.
So I'm saying that. Let's see. Let me see if I can decipher what I was saying. So you don't like the idea that some dude who doesn't doesn't have any allegiances to anybody necessarily would just get handed. Yeah. Vagabond. Yeah. I have that in my notes. So yeah, it's just a vagabond. Who's going to give him a keep? And I'm like, well, yeah. And if you don't, it's not that big of a deal for that character in battle, right? It change his stats. It doesn't matter to him as far as his character's personal power. It makes him it's something cool, but it's not. Right. It's kind of powerful in a way, but not directly affecting the character's performance in combat. So now, if you don't do it, it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
But you might have hurt feelings if the player's expecting it. So, but you're not the kind of DM at this point that would just say, no, not doing it.
No,
you would say, hey, I don't like this being just a gimme. How about we figure something out?
Yeah, and it'd be like, and if the player comes to me like, look, I've done all this stuff for this kingdom, I'm going to ask the Duke or the King for a tract of land. I'd be like, yeah, you have, and he's going to say yes.
Right.
In fact, he's going to give it to you.
Right.
He's not even going to make you pay for it, and he might even help you if you clear it out. And I think, like for example, I think what's interesting, for example, your character Butch. He's a very powerful character. But now that Elysium's destroyed, now he had a lot of sway in Elysium because he was a powerful gladiator, so he was popular. He probably could have got a home if he wanted it. Granted, we had one,
right.
But I'm just saying. Now that you're out in the plains, you escaped the destruction of Elysium. If you showed up in Greyhawk, hey, I'm Butch. I'm a 13th level fighter. I got a Vorpal sword. Give me a keep.
Okay. Butch could probably scare somebody into getting
right. You could intimidate them, but they're not going to do it out of like, oh, you're super cool because you got a Vorpal sword. They'll be like, he's got a Vorpal sword. I may have to give him my keep. I mean, that's a different story,
right?
But I mean, the point is, as long as Butch wasn't willing to like kill somebody over it, but he was just like, hey, I think I deserve a keep. Even as a DM, I'd be like, how could you possibly explain that? Who do you know that's going to give you a keep? Or do you have enough money? If you have enough money, you can build your own. I'm sure you can convince somebody. You can always go to a king and say, he goes, I don't know you. And you'd be like, give me a quest. Give me a challenge. Right. And if I defeat it, you give me this land. Okay. I mean, that would be a cool way to do it.
That's precisely how Butch would handle it. If he felt he needed one. And
correct.
Honestly, I think Butch does feel like a vagabond at this point. So maybe that's something he'll want to do, especially after you present Highgarden to him on a platter, which I know you're going to do.
I'm going to put him on his knees. He's going to lay his neck down right on the curb so you can stomp his head.
Curb stomp, right?
Curb stomp him. Yeah, I like your little statement in the notes about eternal vagabonds. So instead of the eternal warrior, Butch is the eternal vagabond.
So far. Yeah, I mean, that's true. I think it's something that's kind of missing as a thing in the game. But there's another element to that is that we never really adventure to high enough level on a consistent basis to explore that. We're usually short-lived campaigns. Or we have something to start out like that, like the what did we call it for Elysium? The little compound that they lived in, a stable, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's a gladiator's stable, not a horse stable.
No, and to elaborate, we'll talk more about that later, I guess.
But yeah,
cabin come moment.
Yeah,
but you're right. I think one of the things with that, to make this domain stuff work, you're right. You have to have a long-lasting campaign in my mind, or you must start out with that as a plan. Say, okay, your characters are 7th level. They've been adventuring a long time in this kingdom. Have each player, give a thing. You can write it down, or you can just say a few things. How are you entrenched in this kingdom? And then say, we're going to start at the point where you're now starting to think about, hey, I'd like to own my own keep. You're not quite there yet, but here we go. So in a couple of levels, after a couple of quests, you're ready to make your move to get your keep, or do something to get attractive land and build your monastery if you're a cleric. So I think that would be a cool way to do it. But I'm with you. I'd rather have a long running. Honestly, I'd rather start at 1 and end at 20, and not even end. Just play them really high level and let them do things. But to do that, Joe, I think, and I was hoping to do that with the new Elysium campaign. Now that we've got a bit of a stop on it, but I think we're going to have to commit to a group of players and just stick with those.
Yeah.
I mean, like 3, 4, 5 guys, and let's push it to play that campaign all the way through.
Right. We do need to do that. I tell you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Another thought I just had was, in a word that I don't like using because it's marketing term, organic. So
yeah, baby.
A way to do it organically instead of with pesticides.
Right.
Is there was, I don't know if you were running a module for this, and this house was in the module, but it was a haunted house. And after we got done unhaunting it, its status wasn't clear as far as ownership and all that. It was haunted. We cleared out the haunting. Nobody really had any claim to it. And I was like, oh, this would be great for our party to just occupy if nobody has it. And that's kind of thing that has happened, I don't know how many times, but we never we don't really take advantage of it.
Well, I think I told you last time I did have this happen. I'm going to tell this story again. A year or two ago, I ran the year-long, nearly weekly campaign for about 3-4 hours. I played with my wife and Philip and Amy and Trent, and we played a Greyhawk campaign from 1st to 10th in 5th edition, had a great time, and they got their own little house in Sandpoint. I took that from Galarion, and I ran with a couple of ideas there. If anybody knows anything about Sandpoint, there is a legend in the town about this guy named Chopper, who was a serial killer. Well, I just had him be alive and be in the midst of serial killing, and they ended up thwarting him around 3rd or 4th level, and then they became the darlings of the town, and they just said, hey, can we take his house over? And the mayor said, sure, why not? The council's like, go ahead, you deserve it. And they got this sweet little keep that's like, there's a swinging wooden bridge that goes over the part of the lake. It's a little island just off the coast, and so they're on a little tiny island.
Holy crap!
Yeah,
I remember the story, but I don't remember you saying it was an island. That's cool.
Yeah, it was, and that's not way. I mean, you have a little swinging bridge. You can walk across to it, so it's an island just off the edge of town. And it was like, and then they put tons of money into it. Now they ended up fighting a shadow demon that had been summoned there to protect the house and things. It wasn't me. It wasn't a free pass. Here's your keys. Everything's lovely. And they rooted out an evil cult by about 8th or 9th level. They killed this evil cult guy had been bothering them for a while. They got away from him around 5th level, and they had defeated that cult. And it was they called themselves the Shields of Sandpoint. We used to joke about that, about having, I think the Forgotten Realms started the idea of company names, but I think that's great. They actually decided we're the protectors of Sandpoint. And I think Philip coined the name Shield of Sandpoint, and I really like that. And so they're known as the Shields of Sandpoint.
That's groovy.
Cool. And they have their own little base of operations, and we've talked about picking that game back up because they've done some exploration to the city of Greyhawk, and they're moving to greener pastures, but they'll always have that place. And the Sandpoint will think of them as their people, they're homegrown, so
that's awesome.
I think that adds a lot to. I mean, they never got to pay for a meal in Sandpoint again, and so I think that's really fun to have that, and it adds a lot of richness, and I think you remember things like that more.
Oh yeah, definitely.
More than just, well, what was the last mind flayer we killed? Oh, yeah, we killed him. I mean, that was fun. And that Lich, yeah, that was cool. And so I think this idea of a dominion and a domain adds to that it really grounds the players in the setting, and you can help them care about the NPCs, because that can be a big problem, getting players to give two craps about the recent NPC they're dealing with.
Oh, yeah. That can be difficult. I remember back in the day, we didn't take any lip off of some NPC.
Yeah, you guys would say that. That NPC just say something to me. I know his hit points, dude. I'm 6th level. If he doesn't have red hair, we can kick his butt.
Yeah. If they had red hair, look out.
You better not beat up my red-haired NPCs. I have red hair, so my red-headed NPCs were basically a sign that don't mess with this dude.
Yeah.
That old sword over the bar would make Butch's Vorpal look like a piece of crap.
Oh yeah. It was kind of a red flag, eh?
But yeah.
Oh, and you brought up Amy, and I apologize because I meant to bring this up at the very beginning.
Yeah.
We have a brand new financial supporter.
Woohoo!
Or couple. Trent and Amy, we thank you very much for your donation to the cause of good podcasting. not that we're doing that, but we're trying.
Dude. Yeah, thanks, guys. You're awesome.
Yes, very much so.
I'm going to owe Trent's Warlock a couple of new spells and Amy's Rogue some sweet item of some sort. Maybe let her have her own guild, which is something you talked about with these domains. I mean, you can imagine a wizard's tower, off somewhere secretive in a fighter's keep. Clerics and rogues, I think, would have things like, maybe a cleric wants to build a new church for his deity or a monastery where he can study and be devout. It may not be a true church. It may just be for the faithful to come and pray. And a rogue, of course, could build his own guild or he could have his own business. I always thought that was a better move for a rogue unless he was planning on taking over the guild in a big city.
Yeah, it's always better for the rogue to have some kind of merchant action so he can travel around and stuff, have a cover. But yeah, the cleric would be best. I think a temple instead of a church like we think of these days, a temple that he can establish that he doesn't, that he can leave periodically without worrying about it. It's because it's a place of contemplation for others to come. And there's probably he builds that. He's going to have acolytes and whatnot.
Yeah. And they're going to do the day-to-day stuff. He's not going to. Right. And he's like, I told you, like in Valatia, I really like the idea in our Savage World setting of more clerics being Templar-like. They're champions of their god, and they forge and found these temples, but they don't keep them up. They're not the clergy. They're not the true clergy of the place. Right. They're just the superstars that it's named after.
Yes, definitely. And then if there's already a place in existence that you take over as a character, that's one thing. But if you are starting from scratch, and that's one model of this this particular type of thing is to, you can have a castle, but there's some place out in the sticks you got to get rid of all the monsters and whatnot that's out there.
Yeah, that's the Wraith Woods. Sure, you can have that patch of land. Go right ahead. Head out to the Wraith Woods and clear that out.
Kill all the wraiths.
Kill all the wraiths.
If you're still 9th level when you're done, then you can have a keep.
Right. If you're 1st level, we got a bar back job waiting for you back in town.
But I can imagine that not being very popular in modern games.
What do you mean?
Because, you're evicting the indigenous people from their property, potentially.
Oh, my next game will be about evicting indigenous people. That's the only thing my characters are going to do. They're going to go in and kill the poor lizard folk in the town, in the swamps, and take over the swamps and evict them. They're not going to kill some of them. Then they're going to just evict them and put them out in Arrakis.
Right.
No, I think clearing out territory is really cool. I think there's so much adventure. You don't have to. I mean, and you shouldn't just hand if the challenge is going to be to build this keep. Let's say Butch is a fighter in a group and he's like, man, I really want to keep. And they're like, yeah, it'd be great for us to have a, imagine that you just totally get on board and the wizard's like, dude, I could have a tower. Yeah. He goes, yeah, if you pay for it, it'd be great. Have my own little experimental place. Sure. And the clerics go, well, I've healed you a lot. You'd be okay if I had a temple of Odin to my god. You'd be like, sure, yeah, we should have that. And the rogue goes, would you mind if I like took care of the ins and outs of things and made sure you got the different things that your people needed, tack and harnesses and all the gear. And basically he goes, I'm going to be running the quote unquote store. Right.
Right.
And so your whole party would have something to do. And you could, and that sort of thing would be motivating for a group to be like, we got to clear this out. And you could have all sorts of crap in the Wraithwood. I mean, the Wraithwood doesn't have to be race. It could just be a cool forest, and there could be a dragon there. Maybe a shadow dragon is why it gets its name. And, its presence keeps everything dark and foreboding, and it attracts some undead. And there's a variety of lesser bosses, and you could have a whole mini campaign just clearing that out. It would be fantastic.
Yeah, that would be really cool. That's probably the best use for it anyway, is to provide more adventure. So,
what about this though?
Go ahead. No. I was just going to ask if we've plumbed the depths, or do you have more to say? I get
just a tad bit more plumbery. So what about this, dude? So imagine that party of 4. They work their butts off. They're all 10th level. Got a sweet tower, sweet temple, rogues running the day-to-day. Butch is king of the hill, right? He's the lord of the land, getting the taxes. Life is good. He knows his buddy Rogue's doing little sneaky stuff, but he likes it like that because he gets a cut of that too. You just keep it away from the clerics, all good.
Right.
And anyway, everything's wonderful. Next thing you know, a banshee shows up in the wizard's tower. That daggone high garden. And or how about this? A portal opens up in the courtyard, and out stumbles 37 Githyanki. I'm talking about. I'm not saying immediately, but I'm saying over time, the things you've done come back to haunt you.
Oh, sure.
I'm talking about assaulting your domain. You got it. You spend the time building it. You got it going, and now you got to defend it. I don't mean every time you turn around, but an adventure, and I'm just using Butch as an example. In a group like that, you've made some enemies along the way.
Oh, yeah.
Even if it's people you didn't know, like somebody's son who saw you kill their evil father.
Right.
And they said, I'm going to get you when I get older. You know what I'm saying?
Sure thing.
And you have these come back, or just someone says, you know what? I want what he's got, and I don't want to work that hard. New villains. I think it's a moral imperative as a DM that at some point you have to come after that in a very intense way to really piss the players off, so they want to go kick somebody's butt, but not all the time. They don't need to be worrying about their keep every time they leave it. Right. Let them enjoy it for a few years, and then when they're feeling fat and happy, then kick them in their nuts.
Then take it.
Then take it and destroy it.
You like that? You've had it for 3 years. You like that a lot? You do?
Good.
Yeah, you don't have it anymore. Sorry.
So let me re-describe. The portal opens up, and a 30th level Baylor wizard.
I would say the place is yours. I mean, no. Butch is tough, but he's not that tough.
No, Butch would say roll for initiative, because if I get it, my Vorpal still cuts off Baylor wizards' heads.
You're correct. It does. He gets 3 tries at it.
You better hope I don't get initiative, son.
Butch has a good initiative roll.
I know. He's a beast, dude. Yeah. I can't wait to run a game for him, and with I want to get Asban in there, and who was that one fireball cleric that old Joshua used to play? He talked about him. But that'd be
fireball cleric?
Yeah, I forgot his name.
I can't remember the character's name.
I know him by his fireball, by his fiery clericness, but anyway.
Fireball cleric.
Yeah, well, you've adventured with him, but he's one of those.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah. So, yeah, I think that's an important thing. I think making sure you assault. I think upkeep. I think the possibility of war. Just the possibility of war. Not that if Butch is not a king, or Butch is our example, if he's ruling and the king it's like, look, I gave you that land, but technically you're my vassal, and I'm getting ready to fight a war. I need you to bring me a sizable army and you need to lead a chunk of my people into battle. Or if he is a king, he could have border issues and all sorts of crap could be going on that he eventually might say, all right, it's time.
Right. That would, because one of the things about earlier D&D was as you progress in levels, the higher you get closer to level 20 or maybe past, the idea that you just go on adventures and jump in a dungeon and beat up monsters, that begins to be passé. You don't necessarily do that all the time. You might get into more regional skirmishes with very powerful beings, travel planes, and stuff like that. So, yeah, that makes sense.
In OD&D and regular first edition, second edition, it was kind of not second, maybe second, maybe not. First edition for sure. It was kind of assumed between 9th and 12th level, your character was kind of settling down.
Right.
And going someplace. Now, I think it's fine if people want to keep playing. You can have these interplanar things. You can have massive world-affecting things. But if you want to go a different direction, less on the adventuring type, you can always have the idea of wars and skirmishes for land, or even political machinations if you're so inclined.
Right. Butch is not political.
No.
But could run characters like that. Get another character up high enough level, that might be worth trying.
Well, there's another question. Do you think? I don't think you have to be a certain level.
You don't necessarily. It depends on the situation. And someone like Butch probably has a lot of illegitimate butchlings running around.
Yeah, he was a bit of a player.
So it could be that one might come knocking on Butch's door and says, "Hey, Dad,
Yeah.
how about you let me have some of this stuff?"
Yeah.
And Butch
Why don't you train me to be a fighter?
Yeah.
I want to be a fighter like you.
After Butch kicks him in the face a couple of times, he says,
First of all, don't let people kick you in the face, son.
Right. But, proteges is something that's in Hackmaster where you have the opportunity to pass on your stuff instead of it just disappearing when your character dies. So that could be a way for a low-level character to obtain a domain as long as they can hold on to it.
I've always thought this would be cool. You can imagine that party builds that keep, and they've had all this great adventures, and we've basically retired them. Or maybe they're old. Or we fast forward where Butch is, he's 83. He's got a few years left, and that's it. He's got a wife. Maybe he's got a couple wives. I don't know. Anyway, but imagine playing other characters. And you don't have to play the children. You could just play people that grew up in the keep. Or what if a burgeoning town was growing around that keep? Right. And you could play adventurers around there, and there could be spots and in regional markers on the land. There could be dungeons. There could be just the keep. That would be, how cool would it be to be playing your first level wizard who just arrived in Nowhereville? There's a keep on the hill, and it's Butch's keep.
Right.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
To have some kind of legacy there that the new characters could see, whether you're connected or not.
Correct.
You could be connected. You could be a long-lost cousin of, the cleric, and you're playing a mage or whatever. And that would give you a little leg up, depending on how you want to design the campaign. That'd be something you want to discuss right. At Session 0. And that's one thing I miss about the idea of a quote-unquote, let's call it a never-ending campaign, where the world was, when we played in Greyhawk back in the day, everything we did happened.
Right.
I mean, that sounds weird, but everything we did happened. Yeah, that's a whole lot of stupid. But the point is, and that's what I'm saying is, it was history.
Yes.
You would say, remember when as a player, but your character could always say, oh, isn't that where the legendary Volsavar cast this spell and destroyed this lich? And it would be a really cool thing to have in a rich setting to just be stuck in one place. And that's got me thinking, Can I come to the point now? Maybe I'm wanting to. Can I find the system that I love? Not perfect. There is no perfect system that I'm just really happy with, and settle down mostly to one campaign setting and just do it and really build this. I mean, I'm 53, probably not, but part of me yearns for that.
I think we could. At some point, hopefully very soon, when we can do more in-person gaming, I think it's very possible for us to do something like that. And we don't necessarily have to settle on a system right away, especially if we stick with the D20 one D20 permutation or another. It's not that hard to simply say this stuff. You take a character like I did with Butch. Mm-hmm. He's been a 13th Age character and a 5th edition character and a Pathfinder character. So started out Pathfinder. So we don't necessarily need to worry about the system part of it right now.
Correct. Well, and the system part of it may not be that big of a deal.
May not.
It's just, just connecting to our not topic, what we talked about last time about not wanting to buy brand new $60 books much anymore.
Right.
But I'm just saying we got a few systems we like that are fantasy, and we could use them. And just when we get tired of it, if people are in the mood to reinvent their old characters and play them, that's great. If they want to play something new, but I could still have the history and the richness in the same setting, so I can say, yeah, that's still Butch's Keep, even though now we're playing 13th Age instead of Savage Worlds.
Right. Now, and I don't think it's going to be Hackmaster as much as I wanted it to be.
I know it sounds like you got a little. That hour and a half, dude, that's a little intimidating.
For a first level character?
But, I mean, even if do you think, dude,
I think I could cut it down a little bit, But
you're an experienced player, dude.
Yeah,
you played a lot of games. So have I. If it takes us an hour and a half, can you imagine handing that book to Jenny and saying go, or to my wife?
Oh, I told Jenny it's taken me an hour and 15 minutes to be not done with my character. And she says, I don't want that. No, thank you.
Right. Oh, Debbie would be like, I pass.
Yeah, pass.
No way.
Because at first I was like, we're doing this thing Saturday. And she was like, oh, what kind of character can I be? And I'm like, well, I'm doing pre-gens. And she's like, I want to make my own character. Like,
okay.
No, you don't.
Here's the book.
Yeah. And this was before I started making the character. So I wasn't sure, but I went ahead and started making a character just to see how long it would take. And yeah, long time.
And I won't even pretend that it's your fault, but I did jump in for $100 for Hackmaster. I mean, I have the Hacklopedia, I have the DMG, and I have the Player's Book. Now I know that I probably don't want to buy try to search down the rare hardback GM guide, because I doubt if we're playing, dude.
Well,
who knows?
Well, my Jenny was asking me what I wanted for Christmas, and I mentioned those two, the GM's Guide and the Hacklopedia in soft cover. So I wouldn't mind having the hardcover books. They're nice.
Oh, that Hacklopedia Beast is beautiful.
Yeah. But, yeah.
We'll see. Well, who knows? Once we get in there and we start playing, it might get smoother.
Right. Well, like I said, I like the way the combat system looks on paper, and we're going to test it out this weekend.
Cool. You have to let me know next week.
Yeah, I will do.
All right. Cool. All right. I think that's all I got. How about you?
Yeah, I think so. Because we talked about different character classes. I don't think we need to really get into all of the different other than the main four, because they're all just variations on a theme.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, I guess you could apply this kind of concept to other types of games other than fantasy. But it's there's some game systems you start out with something like a starship that's kind of like a castle that moves with you,
right?
But I don't know how you couldn't really do that a modern day kind of thing. It just doesn't fit. But for the fantasy. Like a supers game.
Yeah.
That probably it's a different kind of thing in that kind of setting, where you would probably acquire a hideout or a secret lair, or bat cave kind of thing. But right, it's a lot. It's just different for the fantasy side of things, I believe.
Yeah, I think it'd be different. You could do it. It's possible. You have a Justice League, the Justice Building, the Justice League building, and Professor X's mansion in a modern setting, which we probably wouldn't play much. Like in a vampire, you could have like in the Vampire the Masquerade. I'm sure you could have a modern, a corporate business guy, and he has his own building, maybe a couple buildings in New York City, but it doesn't have the same. Well, I think it is. I think it fits in there. I think that fits. I think it does.
Right. But we're more fantasy dudes, so
yeah.
All right. Well, and we dealt with this. We kind of dealt with this at Cabin Con.
Yep.
With our Elysium Cabin Con campaign.
I think we fully did, actually. We just didn't have to build it. We just had one.
Right. And it wasn't like one characters. It was the entire
stable
of gladiators.
Yeah, let me kind of set the scene here, because we're going to use some words here we may in the future. So everybody knows about Elysium, who's been listening. It was our Cabin Con campaign setting, and we all played initially just arena characters fighting, and we got more story, and we developed a city called Elysium, and next thing you know, we're talking about buying stables of gladiators. Now, in the Elysium setting, you got to realize the gladiators first were called glaives. That was the title, and they were like rock stars in the town. I mean, women wanted them and men wanted to be like them. And so we were superstars. We fought in the arenas. Each group of gladiators had their own stable of gladiators, and they had a stable house. We had a name for it. Philip would probably...
Wasn't it just a stable?
No, it wasn't actual. It was called a stable house, but it was more like a keep.
Yeah,
it was a keep.
I know.
Yeah, they were very nice. There was these different thanes. There were rulers, like 12 or 13, I forgot, 10 or different thanes of this city. And anyway, we had this structure, this home base we'd come back to, and it was really cool because within the home base you could play any of your own personal stable, of characters, which we all tend to have 3 or 4, if not 5 or 6, but it was mostly GM controlled.
Yes.
It wasn't a player controlled thing. Though we did try to add a little politics. We had an actual Cabin Con where several characters ran for stable master, the leader. And then things got a little crazy. I think Jeff's character Red won that, though I still maintain Penty was fully cheated. And that was my halfling. He should have been the stable master, but that's okay. I really campaigned hard for that. I was very sad when I lost. But we milked that pretty good. It was pretty cool. I think, shortly after that, things got a little out of hand with all the different plot threads and different GMs. No one keep track of it. But, yeah, we definitely gave it a try, but it wasn't quite – we didn't have to clear some land. We didn't have to, get a lot of money and pay for it. It was just our base of operations from the campaign sort of get-go. I liked it. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah.
Do you feel like that would translate – to a campaign now? Would you be cool if I said, would you like the idea of saying, okay, Joe, we're starting a campaign, fairly high level, 9th level, and you're a lord of this keep. And Debbie, you're playing the cleric, and Jenny, you are the wizard in the tower, and Philip, you are the rogue. And, give you your little assignments. You're all old adventuring buddies, and things have gotten a little stale. And then all of a sudden, this happens, and start the campaign that way. Would that be
cool? That would be cool. We wouldn't even need to have everything drawn up. We could just do that during play.
You could literally call Joe. You could narratively just say, okay, since I've been the ruler for a while, I've got these 7 men, my sacred 7. I had them all ordained by the priest, and they're all my special bodyguards. And I'd be like, yeah, that sounds good. You do.
Right. Yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool jumping off point for a high-level game. We could even do something like that at Cabin Con. That would be cool.
What a cool campaign. Yeah. That would be neat. Huh. Let me jot that down.
Jot away.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good. I think, like I said, we experienced it at Cabin Con, I think, several years. I mean, Elysium was if you count all the arenas, it was at least double-digit years, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure how long we had access to that stable or keep or whatever it was. It was more of a background element. It really wasn't. It was, like you said, it was GM controlled. So we didn't even really know the layout.
No,
we didn't even talk about it.
Though I did attack you there.
You did. You
Sent
did.
the Banshee in there. That was yeah. So I didn't let you feel comfortable. So
No, that's all you.
yeah.
You can't let us sit on our laurels.
No, I'm not a fan of laurel sitting.
No. But no, it was mainly for atmosphere. Like it would be a jumping off point between when we'd start off. Oh, you're in your stable. You're all talking, practicing, and blah happens. So
Yeah, I mean,
that'd be
yeah, it's a starting. It would be. It's just like when we described that campaign a second ago about you being a lord and so on and so forth. I think that would be okay as long. Now that would require, in my mind, a system we've mastered pretty well. Because jumping to 9th level in Hackmaster, next week could be very bumpy and clunky.
Sounds like you're wimping out. Wimping out.
Fine, we're just gonna go to.
It'll take us. It'll only take us 10 hours to make our characters. That's it. Just 10 hours.
Yeah,
you got 10 hours to spare.
Heck yeah, I'm
just for making your character.
After tomorrow.
And then it could die in the first encounter.
That's fine. I got some good news for you. After Thursday, Randy's on vacation.
Vacation.
Good. I'm glad I'm still in school in some sense. That's quite an advantage.
Yeah, that is a really good advantage.
All right, cool.
Well, so in from the point of view of us making our own system,
yep.
Would this be a feature or an option in a system that we would make? Would we lay down the law in our book, or would we say, here's some ideas, have fun with it?
Yeah, that one.
That one. Yeah, I like that one.
I like the optionals and like, here's some ideas. And I think we could even throw down, like I said, about those 4 adventurers that start characters out. You don't just have to go conquer lands. You could start out as being a ruler already. Go birthright on them. That's a campaign setting back in 2nd edition. So I think that could be fun. Do you think though, you like the idea and I like the idea? Do you think younger players, and by younger I just mean less experienced, and they could be literally younger or just haven't played the game much, especially like a D&D or fantasy game much, do you think they would? I guess it just depends on the player. I was thinking maybe they wouldn't like to start at higher level because they don't really know how to handle it. But everybody can imagine, a ruler can think about a Game of Thrones scenario where you're some version of Tywin Lannister.
Yeah, I remember long time ago drawing up castles and stuff, and imagining what it would be like for my character to have their own castle. And so that was early days. So maybe not when you first crack open the book.
Right.
But that probably depends on your
composition of your group.
Well, no, it depends as an individual player. If you are completely new to the whole genre, even of fantasy, the idea of a castle might not occur to you. It depends on your background.
Oh, I guess, yeah. That'd be, you'd have to be kind of non-fantasy, medieval, nothing guy, but I'm not sure why that person would be drawn to D&D, but I guess it's possible.
It's possible. Well, what about your wife? She wasn't really a fantasy person per se.
Well, she knew about castles and knights, though.
Right, yeah.
But you're right. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I think I definitely want it as an option in the rule book. I wouldn't want to dedicate a whole chapter to here's how you set up a domain and, here's how we suggest you do it. We might say you could try this and try that, and don't forget to screw the players. Don't forget to assault the keep every chance you get.
Hold on. We're trying to make a game that's fun, right?
Oh, fun. Oh, I always forget that. Yeah, okay. Dang it. Yeah,
not just fun for Randy as the DM.
Oh,
not merely that. Everybody needs to have fun. Kind of. A little bit. Assault it every once in a while. Give them a sword. And that'll be enough. Not a magical sword. Not a sharp sword. Just some sword found in the mud. Rusty sword.
A rusty, stinky sword. It actually smells. I don't know how metal keeps smell, but this one does.
Oh. Yeah. I don't know. That game probably won't do well.
Dang it. I guess I'll have to rethink that then.
Sword in the Mud.
Mud Sword. Yeah. Oh!
Mud Sword, the RPG.
That's our name, Mud Sword.
Mud Sword.
That is the name of our adventure, Mud Sword. That's going to be the name of our game, Mud Sword. Let's play some Mud Sword.
Let's not.
Come on, man. I promise I'll give you the Muddy Sword.
Yeah. I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will.
After you've adventured for 9 levels as slaves to goblins.
Yeah. Yeah, and you only have 9 hit points. You only get 1 hit point a level. No con bonus. What con? You don't have a con. You've been tortured your whole life.
That's a dash on your character sheet. Yeah, You're like the old undead. The old undead in 3.0.
Oh, There's yeah. No con.
There's no con dash.
Have fun.
Isn't this heroic? Aren't you having any fun? Aren't you craving? Today's adventure is to go out to the river and try to steal a frog before one of the goblins punches you in the face.
Right.
So you can eat tonight. Good times.
Good
Mud
times.
Sword. The RPG coming to a store near you.
Yeah.
Hey, should we? Well, I think we're going to. I'm about to do it. Oh, Joe could cut it out. And what do you call it? Something in post? Take care of it in post?
Yeah, I'll fix it in post.
I'm about to say something. Watch out. No, I believe we're going on a hiatus, but do not fear. Right?
Do not fear.
We're going to take a little vacay, but we've done some episodes in advance, so there will be Christmas and New Year's episodes.
Yes. We worked hard, so you don't have to. Oh, that doesn't apply here.
That was actually, that was kind of tough, though, doing those back-to-back that night. I was
very tired.
Yeah. But you got them both done, lickety-split, right? You can post them whenever you're ready.
Pretty much. I think the only thing I might need to do with them is make the outline into a show note.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
Cool.
So, yeah, on the day, it'll be easy. Pop it in.
Sweet. I love you doing all that work and me just basking in the glory. That's pretty cool.
And we have 2 whole financial supporters. We made it.
We love them. We're wealthy beyond belief.
Yes.
That's very cool. We appreciate
Thank you,
them both.
Pat.
Yes.
And thank you, Amy and Trent.
Yes. So, very cool.
Speaking of support.
Yes.
If you'd like to support the show, and I've changed the format a little bit if you didn't notice, of the shameless plug.
Oh, okay.
If you'd like to support the show, please check out our website at biggestgeekestpodcast.com/support. Any contribution is much appreciated, and we thank you for your consideration.
Oh, so you just send them right to the support place? No,
yeah, why not?
No tab.
Why not?
Just send them straight to our wallet. Put cash here.
Yes. Or share the podcast with your buddies, your friends. Tell people about it. We can only do so much marketing.
We could probably do more, though.
Yeah, we actually need to do some.
Sounds good. That's a good idea. I wish I thought of that. Sweet.
Yeah, the podcast is available most places. Most people get their podcasts. If you have an app, I guess if you're listening to the podcast, it's in your app.
Yeah, that would be tricky.
Although you might be listening to this by playing it from the website already. And if that's how you have it, and you have a podcast app that is not supported, or you don't see our podcast there,
yes,
drop us a line at questions@biggestgeekestpodcast.com. Let us know what you need, and I will see what I can do.
Yeah, and definitely give us any comments what you think of this domain idea and having your own keep and stuff. I'd love to hear other people's thoughts on the matter.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yep.
It's a domain. Get off my domain. All right.
All right, bud.
I have to pull up the outro. And
come on now.
So this is Joe.
And I'm Randy.
And remember, if you can't be big like us, then be geeks like us.
Sweet.